All right, guys, so I'm issuing a challenge to you. I want you to pause the video. Yes, it just started, but go ahead and pause it. And I want you to go ahead and create a controller for the hotels. You can call it hotel controller. And the functionality that we have just gone through with our country controller, I want you to replicate it in the context of the hotels. So I already have it here, but I want you to pause. We're going to go through it together, but I want you to pause, attempt it yourself, and then we compare notes. All right, so I'm back. And I'm saying I'm back because I'm assuming that you paused the video and now you're resuming and now we can go through it together. So here we have the hotel controller, and I went through the same steps. I right-clicked controllers, clicked add, did a controller, a blank API controller, called it hotel controller. I went ahead and injected basically the same services that were in the country controller and initialized them in the constructor. Now, everything pretty much is identical. The only things that really changed were my variable names, because obviously I'm not going to call this one countries if we're getting hotels. So get hotels instead of get countries, get hotel instead of get hotels. And similarly, you'd want to get a hotel by ID. Another thing that I would want to point out would be the mapping. We're mapping to hotel DTO, and the final thing would be that I've kind of added more attributes. So as we see, the attribute kind of it indicates to at least Swagger, and I mean it does dictate the behavior, but Swagger does depend on it also to know how to formulate that documentation. So right here, I'm letting Swagger know that this method produces 200. It also produces 500. Because if you recall, when we looked at Swagger and it returned the 500, you would have seen something saying undocumented underneath that 500 error. And so we want to just make sure that Swagger contextually tells as much information to the developer as possible at any given time. So when I bring up Swagger, you're going to see the segregation, country, different from hotel. All right, I hope you're seeing this. And if we look at hotel or any one of these that the attributes was, both attributes were added to, you'd see that the 500 wasn't there initially. You'll see the 200 now, 500 wasn't there initially. All right, so that does work out for us. I'm going to use Postman to do some testing. So I still have my test from the time. And the thing is, with Postman, you can always just start a new tab, right? So instead of using one tab to continuously be changing, I'm going to have one for the get with no parameter. Let's drag it over here. So this is no parameter. Let's see if that works. All right, so I really didn't test my code before now. I wrote it and I didn't test it, and I'm happy to see that it's working. All right, and then the one with the parameter, that also works. And for now, that's all there is to setting up our controllers. All right, so as many controllers as you might have, of course, variations, and based on context, certain things may differ, but we have a good template upon which we can build our get operations. All right, so you can go ahead and, just state this off, and then when we come back, we'll be pushing our changes to our repositories.